Welcome to Small Business Celebration. We're continuing our series on small business owners who are getting the move on. And our guest this week is a world champion adventurer, an arm wrestler, and a business owner who has done something most business owners only dream of. This is Small Business Celebration. Welcome, where we chat with real business owners who have real success and learn from them about what works, what doesn't, and who want you to know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel and it's not a train. Join us where you can learn something that you can use today to grow a strong and profitable business. Welcome to Small Business Celebration. Our guest this week is Glenn Bland, the founder of the Bland Company and chairman of CalCom. Welcome to Small Business Celebration.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
For visionaries who don't know who you are, who are you and what is it that you do?
My name is Glenn Bland. I founded Bland Company back in 1985. We did solar and HVAC for residential and small commercial. And then in 2011, we founded CalCom Energy, which is specifically solar for agriculture.
The reason we're talking with Glenn today is because he has done something that the overwhelming majority of small business owners wish they could do. But in order to get there, I first want to begin with what prompted you to get into the air conditioning and solar business in the first place?
When I was a young man, I set out to build a career in entomology, being an entomology, study of insects.
Oh, okay, sure.
Agriculture, it was a good fit for this area.
Right.
And I met my first wife, fell in love, decided I had to get married.
Right.
Before 8 years of college. And so I through some good advice from a cousin of mine, Clinton Bland, he said, solar might be something you want to get into because it's probably going to be a pretty big deal someday. And so I chose the path of going to post-secondary school and studying solar and HVAC. There's
a master's degree in solar and HVAC?
No, okay. It's post-secondary, basically trade school.
Oh, okay.
The several years of education required for entomology.
None of which prepared you for the business world.
That's right.
How did you learn the skills you needed in order to have a successful business? Because they didn't teach you that in school.
They did not. That's a great point. So after going to trade school and just putting the tools on and going out in the field, just following advice from my dad, and mother and dad, and it was that do a good job so that folks are satisfied, and if they're satisfied, they're going to tell their friends about it, their relatives, and it's a good way to build a referral-based business. Even if you're an employee working for somebody else,
right.
It's job security if folks are requesting you.
Sure.
So just do the job right the first time.
It also sounds like when somebody said there might be some money in solar, this was in
1982.
Right when Ronald Reagan was taking the solar panels off the White House. You're saying there might be some money in solar. Where did this instinct come from?
It wasn't necessarily instinct. I can't take the credit for that initially. It was my cousin's advice, and he thought that just from the experience he had in HVAC and a little bit of solar, that he thought someday there was a beginning push for energy independence because of the oil crisis and all that. So right. it was a hot topic then. It was a hot topic until 1986 when Congress under the Reagan administration took it away, took the incentives away. So it went to sleep for a while.
Right. Did that part of the business go dormant for a while, and then you revived it in the late 90s?
It did, nearly dormant. Okay. The systems that were installed required some maintenance and repair.
Right.
But largely relied on, from when I started my company in 1985, when Kathy and I started the company in 1985, heavily relied on HVAC. So heating, ventilation, air conditioning, refrigeration.
Right.
And a little bit of solar. And then, of course, 99, 2000, that really came alive again with California incentives.
The HVAC business is there's a lot of people in that industry, especially locally here in the southern San Joaquin Valley where it's hot most of the year. And one of the things that the Bland company is known for is the name, the reputation of it. How did you instill that belief of taking care of the customer all the way through in order for you to stand out? Because everybody says, well, the customer is always right and we need to take care of the customer, but you actually did it.
Yeah.
How did you instill that into your employees?
Kind of two answers there. So number one, you have to separate yourself from the competition, right? So
how did you do that?
You have to be willing to do the things that your competitors don't want to do. Going out and making heating repairs in the rain or the sleet. You know, crawling under homes to repair floor furnaces. You know, the things that the dirty work. Right. So being willing to go out and do those things, and then you know, as far as building the culture with your team, I have lots of references on this with you know, some military stuff that I learned from my dad. You have to be willing to do things in the company that you know, don't bark orders, don't create a chain of command, and then, you know, and not want to do or refuse to do the things that you're asking them to do, right?
Right.
Everything from the lowest task to the highest task. In a company with good culture, it's best if you have, sure, there's a chain of command, right? But it's not, you don't run the company like that. You have leaders and you have the team, the warriors, right? You have leaders and warriors, and those roles are interchangeable. Right. You have to be a good follower or a good teammate to be a good leader. Sometimes you have to listen to your employees. Sometimes they're smarter than you. That's right. That's right. If you, that's where you'll get your best advice and make some of your best changes.
Later on, you got on the board of CalCom. And why did you choose to do that?
Going back, we sold Bland Company first. In 2017, we sold Bland Company to the employees as an ESOP, employee stock option plan. And it worked out well. We did the same thing with CalCom in 2018. And I just, after passing the torch, I wanted to stay on the board and just be of service to the team. Right. You know, and be helpful where I could.
And with CalCom, you're helping them develop a very specialized division that a lot of business owners are going to find very interesting, especially if they have a certain size solar system. What is it that you guys are doing?
So in the early days of solar, you know, lots of competitors. Anybody can go out. It's not rocket science. It's pretty simple to go out and put in a solar electric system if you know the components, and basic electricity, right, and building codes. Anybody can do that. But as the industry ages, these systems are getting older. They require service, just like a vehicle, right? Just like an air conditioning system, right? You know, the coils need clean. There's all kinds of things that have to be done in order to keep it in good running condition, so you get your return on your investment. So we're building a world-class team at CalCom Energy right now for the cleaning, the service and repair, the quarterly maintenance, the monitoring of the system, and also bill reconciliation. So we monitor production and usage of the meters that these systems are attached to. And to date, we have found over $1 million worth of mistakes made by the utilities, and have been able to return that money to the customers by pointing those out to the utilities.
Wait, so you're going through and you're helping your customers go over their PG&E bills, find the mistakes, while at the same time helping improve their systems so they can be even more efficient.
Correct. Right. Yeah.
If visionaries want to learn more about this and how to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
Just simply call me on my cell phone, Glenn Bland. If I'm not available, leave a message. I'll call you back.
And what's your phone number?
661-201-6295.
Email?
Email gbland@calcomenergy.com.
And how do you spell CalCom?
CalCom Energy.
And if you enjoy Small Business Celebration, go ahead and like, subscribe, and notify, and leave a comment. We enjoy the comments that you give us here on Small Business Celebration. And when we come back to give advice or not give advice, that is the question. Do you want the lowest standard of care for your health? Wellness care is about reversing and preventing illness. Do you want to be managed by sick care, or do you want to thrive from your health care? Call Dr. Hugh Beatty, MD, the Wellness Doc, at 661-395-0315, or visit him at hughbeatty.com and discover how you can transition from managed sick care to thriving with wellness care. Discover your wellness program that can help you get well, reduce and or eliminate the number of medications you're taking, and feel alive again. Call the Wellness Doc at 661-395-0315 or visit him at hughbeatty.com and get better. Call 661-395-0315 or visit him at hughbeatty.com. I'm here with Glenn Bland, the founder of the Bland Companies, and also on the board of CalCom. And our visionary question comes from Heather, who asks, we've been in business for more than 20 years, and we've only now started to reach what we would consider mild success. And now we have some other business owners, some of whom have been in business longer than we, asking us for business advice. But my partner and I don't feel we're okay to do so. Should we?
First of all, I think she's very humble. She and her partner are very humble because they've already beat the odds. They've been in business for 20 years.
Right.
And they're probably underestimating their mild success, whatever that is. Absolutely give advice, especially if somebody's asking for advice in the same business. It doesn't matter if they've been in business for 1 year or 30 years. They may have some bit of information that could be world-changing for somebody asking for advice. So,
because oftentimes, a lot of business owners think they've seen their movie before. They've relived their movie in the middle of the night, and parts of it that didn't go so well. And they often think, well, I'm not worthy to give advice when somebody asks it. Why is that so wrong?
I think that's just innate for most people. They don't recognize their success. Maybe it's they're humble. But I think in most cases they don't really appreciate what they've done. They're in it, so they're not looking from the outside.
Tell us about the World Adventure Race.
That was absolutely, if I have to look back through the 30 some odd years of being in business, that was the single most impactful event without a doubt.
How so?
So in 1985 the company was started. Just fast forward. Hired our first employee in 1991. So for 6 years, wearing all those hats, doing the books, Kathy and myself doing the books, doing the repairs, filing the taxes, just working around the clock. We had, after we had about a dozen employees or so, this race came up. So changing from business to what we're doing in our personal lives, we were doing a lot of athletics. And we had an opportunity through some adventure races. These are multidiscipline. Adventure racing is a multidiscipline sport where you go out and you bike and you kayak and you trek around, either running or hiking, and you're navigating the whole time.
All through uncharted territory.
Uncharted, sometimes, right? So there are trails. There are trails sometimes. But then we get into the longer ones, there's sleep deprivation. Anyway, we placed second in a big race here in California in the Sierras, and it qualified us to go to the Discovery Channel World Championship Adventure Race. Trish and I met through athletics.
Right.
And
where was this race held?
It was held it started on the Piz-Corvache Glacier in Switzerland, and it finished at the Matterhorn in Zermatt.
So you're going through the Pyrenees?
Through the Alps.
Oh, through the Alps,
Through the Swiss Alps.
Right.
And there were lots of challenges to get from qualifying to getting to Switzerland to do this race. Number one, sponsorship money. It was going to cost, just in cost with airfare and gear and everything, about $30,000.
And this is in
2001.
Okay.
Right before the Trade Center.
Right.
It was late August, early September in 2001.
30 grand just to get there.
Just to get there. So I think, okay, what do we do? We call companies like Maui Gym and any sports equipment we had. We'd look at the name and we'd try to make a phone call, right? Get to a decision maker. It dawned on me one day, with the company we're using Nextel Communication. So, okay, well they sponsor race car driving and stuff like that. So I'll give them a call. 3 connections later, I had one of the vice presidents on the phone. And she said, "This sounds fantastic. This is something we'd love to sponsor you. How much money do you need?"
Wow.
And I said, "We need like $30,000. She said, "Okay, we'll send a check." And they sent a camera crew out to meet the team and everything. It was surreal.
This wasn't just you and your wife on the team. There was a whole back end of people that had to help you to be your support team.
Yeah, this team we had. So there was Tricia, myself, we had Bill Lovelace, he's a financial advisor, world-class triathlete from Los Angeles, Brian Sturz, who's a physician, retired from Kaiser now, so that was our team. But then we have 4 kids. What are we going to do with the kids? They're all in elementary school at the time. So the in-laws helped us with daycare. There were a lot of moving parts, and not to mention we had companies to run.
Right.
That had to run while we were away.
And just out of curiosity, you came in.
We came in. I'd have to read this. we actually there were 5 teams that finished this out of 30 some odd teams.
5 that actually completed
that actually
it.
Finished.
Okay.
Right. We were not one of them.
Okay.
I believe we were the 17th. There were 17 teams in the race when we were pulled for not making a cutoff because we rescued another team from Malaysia on one of the mountain passes. One of their teammates had taken a big spill,
right.
Hit his head, had a concussion, had to be airlifted out. Well, in order to get him to the helicopter landing spot, which was this is in the Alps,
right?
We had to carry this guy for a while.
Wow.
To get him there. So
if you didn't win, you won for you didn't win for a good reason.
Yeah, so we looked at that. It's like, what are we going to do?
Right.
Well, there's no question.
Right.
You're going to get this guy out of there. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You can race again. This guy. I want to make sure this guy can race again.
Right.
Yeah.
How long did this race take you away from your business?
With planning, all the logistics involved, it would have taken us away for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Would have, but 9/11, 2001 happened while we were gone. So that was 2 days after the race was over. We're in my uncle and aunt's living room in Amsterdam, and I get a call on the Nextel International phone that they were kind enough to let us use.
Right.
It's my daughter. She says, "Dad, turn the TV on, turn the news on."
Oh no.
What channel? She says, "It doesn't matter." And we all know how that unfolded. So we ended up extending our trip.
Right. Because you can't get back.
You can't get back.
Right.
For another 2 weeks.
So that was 4 weeks away.
So we're 4 weeks away.
And how many businesses would not be able to survive their owners being gone for a month?
Yeah, we had we had a culture at the company, and we still do, that again, there's always this, the chain of command, right? I mean, people have titles,
Right.
but if you run your company like that, if you rule over, it's just it doesn't work that way. When you build a team, like I said before, you have to have leaders and warriors, and those roles are interchangeable. Right? Yeah. So there was no doubt in our mind that when we're away, folks are going to step up and lead.
Right.
And we had more than one person that could do that.
Was the adventure race the impetus that pushed you for this cross training, or was this something part of the culture from the beginning?
So it was. We had the culture from the beginning, and it wasn't the race in particular. It was just adventure in general. We work hard and we play hard as well.
Right.
And playing hard requires you to travel.
Right.
And so that was that's a benefit of building that culture in the beginning.
More specifically, could you give us an example of how you were able to teach your team and encourage your team to be able to do this kind of leadership so that other business owners can learn the mentality and how you did that?
I'll give you an example that would apply in the company right now. Okay. So let's say we have a technician that goes out in the field, he's doing a preventive maintenance on somebody's solar electric system.
Right.
And he finds a problem, right? Well, some companies may require him to, call somebody else in the office to look up what, price this thing out and get permission from the owner. Where in our business, we've already have an agreement with the client that if it's under a certain price point, just go ahead and make the repair instead of wasting another trip to go out. So we empower our employees to make decisions. We empower them to have the ability to make those decisions.
One of the fears that some business owners have is, where is that line where you empower your employees to go out and under a certain dollar amount and make those repairs, but you do have that repair that comes along that's a little more expensive or goes over that line. How do you manage that without them burning down the house, as it were, financially?
You have milestones in place, and you base those milestones on their knowledge base, what they're capable of. And there may be somebody else on the team that while you're gone, they don't have to get a hold of you. They can contact the next person in line while you're away.
When we come back, we're going to talk more about leadership and the tools that Glenn has used for his business so that you can too. The reason we're talking with Glenn Bland today is because of a Visioneer question that came from a Visioneer just like you. We had a Visioneer that wanted to find out how to be more comfortable, and is it okay to give business advice when asked? So if you've got a question, you've got a thought, something you'd like to learn about, reach out to us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, and let us know what you'd like to learn about. And who knows, your question could appear here on Small Business Celebration. So reach out to us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram today. I'm here with Glenn Bland, the founder of the Bland Companies and board member of CalCom. And our Visioneer question comes from Joel, who asks, our business is growing and we're building a leadership team. What tools have you found to be effective to help them grow into be effective leaders that they need to be?
A few answers for you there. There's some great books to refer to your team to read.
Such as?
One that I recently did, Extreme Ownership, by Jocko Willink. Okay. Where he takes his experience in being deployed and some of the tough challenges he had, and he takes those back and he applies that to everyday business for folks.
Was he a SEAL member?
He was a Navy SEAL.
Right.
Yeah, and he's been quite successful in turning companies around, building leadership teams. That's what he does for a living now, besides his podcast.
Yeah.
So that, as far as the books, that's probably my favorite one. And then we have here in Kern County, we have a great local resource in Sue Watson with business initiatives.
Former guest of Small Business Celebration.
Okay. Yeah, she good friend of mine, and I'm a client of hers. So super helpful. I mean, with Sue, imagine having 10 peers in the same room, CEOs, CFOs, owners, sole proprietors, and you all get together once a month, every month for a year. And so now you have 10 folks with the same challenges, but 10 different lenses to look through. It's just it's an amazing resource. And she has the incredible ability to find just the right mix for those 10 folks. And everybody walks away at the end of the year, probably years ahead of where they would have been without that advice to share with each other.
A mastermind group.
A mastermind group, yeah. And that's the power group portion of her business. And she has other, for employees, for sales, for a number of things. She has a lot of different programs. Wonderful resource.
Was one of the things through these books that you've been learning the lesson of hiring slowly and letting people go quickly? Was this something that you learned through this, or was this something that you learned through personal experience?
Probably learning more of that through personal experience. I've had a couple of instances, experiences I can share with you. I've promoted I've always been big on promoting from within, right? And I take this all on. This is my mistake. I'm responsible for it. Taking a great technician and giving him a management job, right? You think, well, this guy's a great technician. This would be a great promotion for him. And you put him in a management role, and it turns out the guy has no skills in management. I set him up for failure, right? So having the awareness to recognize those characteristics that folks need to do a certain job, you can't just take somebody because they're good at what they do and put them in another role and expect the same thing. You can set someone up for failure.
You can't hire them to their highest level of incompetence?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure, that's common in business, to do that. I did the same thing I had a great receptionist one time, and I promoted her into bookkeeping. And it turned out to be not so good. We had to find a position that worked after that.
Right.
So.
When you're the business owner, and you're looking to elevate somebody that works hard, does a great job, but you also don't want to fall in the trap that you just spoke of. How do you go through and nowadays look at their skill sets and versus the skill sets of the new position and discern whether or not they're going to be qualified for that?
What I would do today, and faced with the same challenge, I would call somebody like Sue Watson in to do an analysis, right? To really do an analysis on this person and the job, the new job description for this person, and see if it's a match. And if it's not a match, is there training available to make it a match?
Right.
Rather than making assumptions and setting someone up for failure.
I think that's part of the key right there is you're going through and developing a training program to give that person the best possible chance. What are some of the tools that you have used to go through with that training? Because I'm guessing each employee is different, so they're going to need different skill sets and different tools for the new position. You've worked with Sue to do that, but what have you found as far as part of that training process that tends to work well?
First of all, before you even get into the training, it's like making sure that the candidate, which may be an existing employee, that the candidate has a desire to go through that type of training, the rigors of that type of training.
See if they want it even in the first place.
Right. If I move to some of the technical positions, the field operations positions, a lot of the manufacturers of the equipment, the panel manufacturers and the tracking manufacturers, inverter manufacturers, they all have specific training for those folks to acquire the skills they need to promote. Say from a service technician to a service manager.
Right. And if you need to elevate them to a leadership role, you have a great book that they can read.
That's right. Several.
What makes you wake up every morning and open a business?
I learned this through some of the crucible challenges that I've signed up to do where they put you through a lot of physical discomfort and mental discomfort through hours of PT and navigating and that sort of thing. And I've been taught that if you focus on others, that it makes it a lot less painful on yourself. When you focus on others, it just makes it easy.
Right.
And so I wake up in the morning, focusing on others, family, friends, coworkers, and see what you can do to make life easier.
You were a world arm wrestling champion?
No. No, I competed on a world level.
Okay, all right.
A world-class level. I'm not a world champion. When I was 40 years old,
right,
there was this tournament up in Castaic, and it was the World Pro-Am Championship. So I went up, I won a couple matches, and I just got smoked. Right? And I guess just with it's just kind of a natural thing. I want to, if I fail at something, I want to find out how to succeed, how to get better.
Right.
You only fail if you quit. So I found some of these guys to train with down in Van Nuys, and just a long story short, through some training and practice, was able to place in the United States, second place, which qualified me to go to the World Championships in Brazil.
Right.
And then did that a couple years after that as well.
Well, Glenn, this has been a real privilege. Thank you for joining us. If Visioneers want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
Glenn Bland, phone number is 661-201-6295, or they can email me at gbland@calcomenergy.com.
Thank you very much for joining us here on Small Business Celebration.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
And I'll be right back with my final thought. Do you want the lowest standard of care for your health? Wellness care is about reversing and preventing illness. Do you want to be managed by sick care, or do you want to thrive from your health care? Call Dr. Hugh Beatty, MD, the Wellness Doc, at 661-395-0315, or visit him at hughbeatty.com and discover how you can transition from managed sick care to thriving with wellness care. Discover your wellness program that can help you get well, reduce and or eliminate the number of medications you're taking, and feel alive again. Call the Wellness Doc at 661-395-0315 or visit him at hughbeatty.com and get better. Call 661-395-0315 or visit him at hughbeatty.com. Losing to win. This week's conversation with Glenn Bland with CalCom Energy was one that was filled with all kinds of wonderful anecdotes and lessons that he has used to grow a strong and profitable business so that you and I may do the same. But one of the things that stuck out at me is why he is also very successful. You see, a lot of us go through life, a lot of us see a lot of other business owners that go through life, and they live life and business as a zero-sum game, meaning they will do whatever it takes to win, period. But Glenn showed us that in order to truly succeed in business and truly succeed in life, zero-sum game is not the way you want to live. You see, he and his team were traversing through the Alps when they came upon one of their competitors that needed to be rescued. Well, they chose, instead of leaving the competitor behind, they chose to rescue the competitor instead. The result? They didn't make the time trial. And since they didn't make the time trial, they didn't complete the race. And since they didn't complete the race, they lost the race. But in doing so, they have their humanity. And that is the reason Glenn has a strong and profitable business. I hope you learned other things from this week's episode with Glenn Bland with CalCom Energy, and I hope that you can use some of those today to grow a strong and profitable business. And we'll see you here again next week. By the way, what do you call a person with no body and no nose?
You got me.
Nobody knows. Welcome to Small Business Celebrate. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the... See, when I converse, I have no problem. But when I look at the camera, I can never seem to get it right. When we come back, we're going to talk more...